Welcome to those who are just joining us. Sorry, we're having a little bit of some technical issues with one of our panelists who will be joining us momentarily. But for those of you who are here today, welcome. We will get started here in just a minute. I am seeing lots of, oh, here's Allie. Yay. Okay, good. So I am seeing lots of new faces. Those of you who are just joining us, please continue to log in and get situated, and we will get started here momentarily. And I'll welcome Allie, our additional panelist. Yay! Thank you. We just opened up the webinar, so we are good. We're gonna, let me get through a little bit of housekeeping, and then I will introduce our panelists. So, for those of you who are new to the Charles County Economic Development and Charles County Chamber of Commerce, our webinar series, my name is Sandy Spinagle, and I have been the moderator here. This is, I think, our 6th or 7th of these. I don't know, we've been doing them every Wednesday for the last month and a half, and it's been super fun. This one, we have been it's pretty casual in our approach in the past, but this one we've got hardcore presentations, we've got slides, we've got details. We've got some meat on this presentation, and I could not be any happier than to have our set of panelists here today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves real quick, and I'll start with Becky and Sally, and then we will shift over to Allie. So Becky and Sally, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves to the audience, that would be great.
Hi guys, I'm Sally Ontiveros. I'm Rebecca's sister, and together we own the Hive Bake Shop, which is in Brunswick, Maryland. And we've been open for about 2 years exactly to the day.
Yay. Okay. Allie, would you like to introduce yourself to the group?
Hi everyone, my name is Allie Von Paris, and I'm the owner of Route 1 Apparel, which is an e-commerce company that specializes in all things Maryland gear. I started the business when I was a junior at University of Maryland. Totally didn't realize it would turn into this 10 years later, but it's been a really exciting ride. I'm really excited to be an entrepreneur, and when Sandy asked me to participate in this, I thought it'd be great because like starting my business, I didn't know how to start an e-commerce business. I didn't get trained to do that, so I'm excited to share some tidbits about what I've learned over the years with everyone.
Awesome. I think we're going to find that is the general theme here today, is that none of our panelists signed up for this saying, oh my gosh, I want to sell something online. What should I sell online? Let me think.
I want to sell Old Bay underwear.
Don't forget the socks.
Oh my goodness. So yay, thank you for that. As with all of this webinar series that we've been doing with our partners, and also I can't forget Jay over at US Tech. Jay is our behind the scenes tech guru that is here helping us to make sure that everything runs smoothly, and we get these recordings and things like that. So this is, of the webinars that we've been doing, this is probably going to be the meatiest, to be perfectly honest, or the most daunting in terms of like, oh my God, I need to know this and I'm totally overwhelmed. But I think the beauty of our 3 panelists here today is, just as they've said, they didn't sign up for e-commerce. They've had to learn as they go. So they've got some really specific, actionable steps and tips and things like that. So I was telling Becca and Sally right before we started that I literally flipped a coin. They both, the Hive Bakery and Route 1 Apparel have slide decks in here, and I went back and forth as to who should go first. And Allie, I think some of your information kind of sets a really nice groundwork. So we're going to start there, and then we're going to get into some of Becca and Sally's recommendations in terms of, they get into details on photos and how to take good pictures, because we all know how important that is. And then we're going to dive in a little bit into Facebook Shop and some of those details. So I can, let's see, I can click through your slide deck here, Allie, or I can somehow have Jay make it so that you can change your own slides. But I am hoping that Jay knows how to do that because I do.
I did see a couple arrows in there a second ago, but I don't know if that's just because I'm seeing your screen. Oh, I'm seeing your
Oh, I
screen.
see 'em now.
You should be able to.
Okay, I'll let you see if you can flip through that slide deck now. You should just be able to hit the arrows, your right and left arrows on your screen.
Cool.
I currently cannot. Oh, wait. Nope.
Nope, on your laptop, like your the left, right.
Should I? It says it's viewing your screen though. Should I switch over to viewing?
Okay,
my
did you just
screen?
do or did I just do that? I don't know.
I think you did that.
Yeah, I did that. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'll just go with it. I'll just follow along with you.
Okay, perfect.
no.
Okay, cool. So yeah, no, I'll just let you know when I'm switching to the screen. So so my topics were what Sandy had asked me to focus on is how to start an e-commerce business online, and that's very, very open-ended. So I wanted to focus a little bit on that, but then deeper dive into digital, the digital alignment with e-com. So my first couple of slides, I just kind of thought about what are the main core things that someone who's never done e-com before needs to target their attention on to kind of fast track this and keep their thinking focused. So I think that there's 6 core focuses around starting a business online. I'm making an assumption that you already sell a product. So this is just about making it go digital. So the first thing is just researching and finding a good e-commerce solution. Developing a list of your products. If you already have a POS system, this might be easy. Personalizing your store, because many of the e-commerce solutions come in with like a cookie cutter template and things like that, and you just want to make sure that you're on brand online. And setting up payments and shipping. The big thing that I feel is the most overwhelming thing for business owners in general is just how to then present your business on an online marketing forum. So that's why I want to invest just a little more time in that. So going on to the next slide, choosing an e-commerce solution. I've been on Shopify for a really long time. I don't know if the Hive girls use Shopify, but it's my personal favorite. I've been on it for, I think, about 8 or 9 years. There's many other solutions out there, but because I'm so familiar with Shopify, this is what I suggest. Whether or not you have a website already, if you are lacking a e-commerce portal, you could very easily just create a Shopify page and then put a little link on your page, like a shop page, and it can direct you to your e-commerce form. You don't necessarily need to build out a whole new website. However, if you do want to build out an entire website, Shopify can also do that for you. And then you can just host a point of domain purchasing through something like GoDaddy's, where you can buy a domain. Alternatively, if you don't want to just build a website out through Shopify, they also have buy buttons, which I'll dive in a little more deeper on the payments section. But they make it really easy to just have the ability to add e-commerce to any website, and you don't necessarily need to build it entirely from scratch. So next, moving on to listing your products. I built my entire listings through Shopify from day one. So I had to actually look into this a little bit, but there are some easy ways to do this if you have a system in place at your retail location. The easiest solution, because Shopify obviously is trying to encourage many brick and mortars to create an e-commerce presence, is they actually offer a free point of sale data migration service. Shopify is also known for their third-party apps that they offer. So if you go to Shopify and you go to their app section, basically you think of anything that might be outsource of your time, and they have an app for it. So they also have migration apps where you can just create your listings manually. It's easy to get overwhelmed with this, especially if you have a lot of stuff in your store. So just run a report on your point of sale system to see what your top selling or easiest products to ship are, and just focus on those as you're getting to learn the software. And Becca and Sally can focus more on the photography aspect. For a really long period of time, I only had product pictures that were all behind white backgrounds. And, you know, over time I've added lifestyle, and I would personally recommend starting with just the same consistent type photography on your website, because it just eliminates any distractions that a buyer is having while shopping online. You know, if you have inconsistent backgrounds or lighting, all of that, it just kind of throws a little curveball when someone's shopping. So I recommend the picture that you might see. It's a mug on a chair with white. It's very easy to get this set up. You don't need a high quality camera. You just really need some good lighting. You can get the paper from like any craft store. And I would suggest doing that. You could just use an iPhone really to get those things set up. Personalizing your store, again, I think that a lot of these different e-commerce solutions, they have templates that you can purchase. The average price is around $100 to $150 for a template, and it's really easy to plug and chug your imagery in there, but it's really important to translate over the same vibe that you have in your store on your website. So definitely, number one, add your logos, change the coloring, all of that. Secondly, I think it's really important to provide any sort of communication that you have around your brand. I've noticed a lot of e-commerce sites, for example, that do have physical presence, they have a COVID notice of what's changed in operations. It's also important to have your refund and exchange policy on there, your shipping lead times, FAQ, all of that. A couple suggestions I have for outsourcing this, because I know, you know, this also this might be overwhelming some people already, all of these steps. There's websites I've used over the years to help speed up this process, because they do have long learning curves. So Fiverr is a website where a lot of the projects there are under $5. That's why they call it Fiverr. There's a lot of people that can do really easy data entry for you or modify a website for you. Upwork, same thing. It's kind of like freelance help. You can type in Shopify on there, and there are skilled laborers who can really do anything related to Shopify that you're not able to grasp or conceptually understand. And then 99 Designs is a website I use on occasion when I'm reaching a creative roadblock and I have a idea in mind, but I can't get it to fruition. So the same thing could apply to website development. There's a lot of web designers on there, and although their pricing can get pretty expensive for a good quality designer, if you're looking for a designer who can present to you something that you can describe on paper, there's a lot of really good talent on there, and you might also be able to find some designers that you can work with longer term. So I think that those are really good websites to get you started on building your web presence. So the next slide, setting up payments and shipping. So I didn't really want to dive into this too much, because I would assume that you already have a payment processor set up. So a lot of your terminals actually have a digital version of that. You just need to basically contact your payment provider and tell them that you might need to set up a separate terminal just so they can sync up that new number with your e-com. Shopify also has their own payment processor, and PayPal, I'm sure everyone's familiar with PayPal. It's very easy to set up a business profile on there. And I also recommend allowing more than one option for payment on your website. So, you know, not just having your credit card processor. People don't have their credit cards a lot of the times on them, so PayPal is a really good option for that. And there's also other alternatives like Amazon. People can pay through an Amazon button, and all of these things can be synced up through whatever e-commerce portal that you choose to use. And then with shipping, this is probably, I think, other than creating your listings online, I'd say is maybe the second most daunting thing for a lot of people who don't have a digital presence yet, because shipping, I could tell you my stories. For the first like 2 years, I would handwrite all of my labels and sit at USPS and individually scan. Yeah. individually scan all of my green tracking numbers, and the ladies at the post office would always say, there's an easier way to do this, but I didn't know that way. And I think that's a big definition of like people who don't know e-com that want to throw themselves in e-com. There's a lot of these unknowns. So a couple things that I suggested there. Shopify, again, they're really trying to be holistic with their e-commerce approach. So they've been introducing where you can buy labels straight through Shopify. You just have to put the weights of the items in those listings. There's also stamps.com, which I have an account with. They say that they have negotiated rates that are a little lower, but really at this point, all of them are about the same price. But Stamps integrates with almost all third-party fulfillment providers. So, you know, if you have any more complicated shipping needs as you scale, or even just right away, say like something needs a certain kind of dimensions, or, you know, if a certain order is being placed in a certain location, it needs this particular, you know, shipping service selected. I use ShipStation. So it's a third party fulfillment software. And it's separate from within Shopify. And that's the system I use that strictly just handles fulfillment. And I would recommend, if any of you want to dive a little deeper in these, there's plenty of articles if you type in things like Shopify fulfillment or ShipStation setup. And there's tons of YouTube videos that are pretty short and to the point that kind of dive a little deeper into those for you. So with all that said,
can we pause that for a second, Allie? So I guess what I'm hearing there for shipping is that you do have multiple shipping solutions. I understand multiple payment processing. Are they multiple shipping solutions because it's easier for you or it's appropriate for the end user? Like, what's that? Why different solutions there?
So I primarily use ShipStation, but within ShipStation, I'm using multiple different kinds of shipping methods and different kinds of criteria. For example, like for the longest time, we used to ship our stickers. If someone just ordered a sticker, we would just put a stamp on an envelope and ship them like that. When our volume was a lot smaller. So I have certain tags set up within ShipStation that if order is a certain way, we do different things with it. And that was not able to be set up within Shopify. They're a little more rudimentary, whereas ShipStation and other third-party fulfillment providers, they focus more on customization. So yeah, there's a ton of things that we set up within ShipStation that just help facilitate like a faster fulfillment service. You know, we have glassware, and that's super complicated to pack. So we have all of those tagged as a certain tag when they come in, and we know to batch all of those orders separately than our other orders, so that we have one team working on the easier things while one team's working on the more complicated shipping. So it's just little things like that ShipStation allows to be a little more complex. But I've been using them since right when they were my first shipping solution, after I realized that there is a way to batch things with custom labels and not have to sit there in the post office for a couple hours individually scanning these orders in and then manually entering in the tracking numbers. So yeah.
So ShipStation has scaled up with you.
Oh yeah, I mean, it saved me probably 6 hours a day just the minute I signed up for it. So it was a game changer. And yeah, that's what a lot of e-commerce is. It's about just finding efficiencies in things that are taking up your time.
And what works for your business too, because we sell food and ship food, and so it's different than clothing, and so there's lots of different options out there for the different types of products you're selling.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and I sell a lot of food product too, and we're dealing with that. Like we have a lot of liquids. We're selling a lot of hot sauce.
Oh yeah,
now.
There you go.
Yeah. So you know, and then if someone wants an item that is out of stock with that hot sauce, then you have to split those things from the order. I mean, there's lots of right now. What we're dealing with everything going on is just constantly trying to find ways to make our fulfillment more efficient.
It's tough for sure.
Yeah.
And that perishable piece of a bakery.
Perishable, exactly. Yeah. A lot of our stuff is perishable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too. I mean, and there's thankfully, I don't know if you guys are on Shopify. Are you on Shopify?
We run through WooCommerce just because there was a free integration with our Clover system is what we use to process our payment. It's a little bit different. I do like Shopify a lot because I have used that in the past. Ours is, you can integrate it, but there's a lot of workarounds that you have to do to be able to integrate it into your POS system and also our website. So.
Yeah, I found that Shopify as a whole, it has a lot of I wouldn't say a lot, they're trying to fix a lot, but they have some limitations, but I found that there's a lot of software that integrates with Shopify, the API portal, and through those third-party softwares, I've been able to get a lot of things resolved.
Nice.
That's exactly what we did. That's why we got WooCommerce, because our POS system, like Shopify, has its own online software to sell straight through your site. But there were too many limitations, especially with shipping, and there's no integration apps. Like WooCommerce allows you to integrate with FedEx and UPS and all those places to be able to have them already pre-print the shipping labels, get them to you, or you print them out yourself, and then they schedule pickups right at your door too.
Yeah, yeah, that's helpful for sure. So I don't know how much time I have left, Sandy. Do you want me to go into some of the marketing ideas that I had, and then?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the thing I wanted to cap off this whole conversation is, so I know that Route One sells clothing, but I don't see myself as a fashion designer. I am by all means not fashionable. I see where our success is in our marketing and design capabilities. And so where I'm really passionate about myself is just with our marketing that we do and the unique designs that we carry. So I wanted to end this dialogue around just how to position yourself online. So a couple things to consider. The most intimidating thing for people is they feel like online is like a whole full-time new job. And I don't necessarily see that. I just think it's an extension of what you're doing physically in store. So, you know, the one main thing you just have to do is just be a good communicator, or at least a decent communicator, and just remember to post those things online and not just in your store. Another thing to consider is that just because you have an online store doesn't mean you're going to get sales on it. So it's important to have an online presence because, especially in today's day and age, everyone's checking reviews, they're checking what you have online, they're checking for your competitors to see if they have better prices. So it's good to be up front and center all the time, 24/7 on an online store. But like I said, it doesn't mean that you're going to get sales on it. Some things I've noticed recently, more importantly recently with everything going on with coronavirus, is buying local and telling your story about how you're local is very important right now more than ever. I think that it's unfortunate that small businesses are seemingly the ones most affected right now with everything going on. But it's very important to continue to be upfront and center about your story and sharing that with your online presence. And the other thing I've noticed is that radio and press are consistently right now trying to find stories to share around this. So I would recommend right after this, reach out to your local press and radio and just get your name out there and let them know what's going on, because they're very eager to share your story. And Sandy would be a great person for that, she yeah, and then a couple other things. I had to learn this early on. You have to be willing to give things for free to people. Like we do a lot of give, like, and share contests where we do, like this picture and get it for free. And, it's really easy to think about the lost business that you have from that item, but it will be exponentially more rewarding in the long term to do those kinds of things. We do a lot of bartering with like bloggers and things like that where they write about us and we just give them a free product for review. And that's also a good benefit just to get your name out there. Lastly, diving into some marketing channels, everyone's always talking about Facebook ads. It looks intimidating mostly because they just don't want copycats, but it's not that hard once you go into it. But right now I'm noticing paid ads in general are just like very inexpensive because there's not as much budget for businesses to participate in them. So cost per acquisition is going down. Email marketing, we do a ton of email marketing, but I'm noticing that text messaging is slowly but surely becoming a like more return on ad spend than email marketing is. And we use PostScript for that. And then also weirdly, I think weirdly, but Reddit is also this like, you know, subcurrent, or it's this current that I'm seeing is something that can really make or break a business. And you know, if you have PR opportunities, it's also good to just try to get on Reddit because that that community is extremely strong, and they send a lot of traffic to stores when you're able to do that. Some things to avoid is I personally would say there's so much negativity on social media. I would never recommend contributing to that. Politics is one thing, you know, you're always naturally just going to divide like possibly 50% of your customer base that way. So just stay away from it. And then also just be careful about what's on your own personal social media, because if you're starting to represent yourself on a business page, people like to be little fun investigators, and they'll, you know, if you are representing yourself one way on your business page and separately on your personal page, that's just not a good alignment. So just be careful when you are starting to become more digitally present, that you represent yourself the best way. So with those things in mind, I have 6 recommendations of things to focus on right now with everything going on. And in no particular order, these are just some things that I've personally found have been doing really well for us, especially with all the changes happening. They all kind of tie around either focusing on increased engagement, increased sales, or increased just, you know, exposure to your brand, get more customer interest, signups, all that. Lead gen is what I would call it. So the first thing, this is what we kind of started doing first when everything was kind of up in the air and we weren't really sure the direction of our business, and sales were down tremendously. And I was like, well, you know, not everything is about sales. You just want to make sure that you're still present and you're still talking to your community. So we wanted to focus on community and positive phrases and encourage engagement on these posts. So, you know, these are just some things that we did. We just made some cute graphics with our logo, posted them on social media, Facebook and Instagram, and then got good buzz from that. And also when we post these kinds of things, we're asking people to engage. So we're starting to see what people want, or like what they're responding with their thoughts, or, you know, we got a lot of product suggestions from these posts. So that's something I'd recommend doing. And you don't need to necessarily do something unique on your own. Just find like a stock photo if you want, or like a quote that resonates with you. But I think that bringing some extra positivity is good during this time. The second thing, light humor. Now, this is really just, I recommend just doing, like, having your best judgment on these. These tend to open up the door for some negativity sometimes, so just keep that in mind. But it's also just based on having your own brand voice here. So, you know, Route One's brand voice is, we are a little bit on the slightly inappropriate side sometimes with some of our posting. I wouldn't say it's like inappropriate in a distasteful way. We just kind of like to be on the edge of just humor and all of that. So with the CDC guidelines that were launched back, this was 7 weeks ago, so I think this was posted in like early March. We just did like our own Baltimore's version of what they had recommended. You can't really see it, but it's just really funny, and got some good buzz there. And then, you know, this was also a repost that we did with the Old Bay hand sanitizer. And then we also do like a lot of mock-ups of products before they're launched, just to get people's feedback. And, you know, I don't even have to go into words about why the wash, you know, everyone like everyone says wash instead of wash in Baltimore. So we just kind of did that funny phrase. And we also made sure that we had a give back aspect to all of our, all of our products during this time. So it wasn't just about, you know, profiting off of what's going on. It was about just trying to stay relevant and viable. So number 3, this was also, so all of these kinds were kind of buildups of each other. So when everything was first starting to happen, like I said, our sales went down tremendously, and I have a pretty large sized team of people that all rely on me to, you know, rely on their business, you know, their salaries to get paid by me. So the first thought I had was like, I don't want to let these people go just with, you know, a couple weeks of lost business. So what are some of the things that we can do just to try to stay relevant and engaged and all that? And I don't, like I said, I don't think everything has to be about making sales. So this one, the digital downloads, I had all my designers work on this digital download coloring book, and we launched it for our customers, and we've had thousands of downloads of it, and it's completely free. So, you know, that's a good way for lead gen. And then just to speed things up a little bit, the last couple slides, number 4, these are just some examples of how to stay relevant, like on social media about what's going on. This was a screenshot of one of our retail stores that is doing curbside pickup of our Maryland masks. And they were doing a really great job on their social media of just updating their customers with delivery ETAs and then posting pictures and previews. But I saw this post and I thought, man, that makes me want to go there and grab one, you know? Mm-hmm. Also Jimmy's Seafood, they're a partner of ours. They've suffered a lot with everything going on, like with the restaurant closed, of course, and they made an update about how they were now on DoorDash. So I think sharing updates and behind the scenes is also a good thing that you can do on social media to stay relevant. So I kind of pushed these all together, but basically this is a huge emphasis of our company, like as a whole, the 3 C's. We're really trying to focus on just not just about us, but like the community, collaboration and charity, because you know, if you're just thinking about how you're going to make money, you can't. I don't think that's a successful type of thought, especially right now. So the first thing we launched was the One Community. It's on our website where people can go, and it's an Excel basically of all the different businesses that we have partnerships with and what they're doing, you know, during this time, just to stay relevant. It's like discount codes, it's free services, it's all kinds of things on there, and it's basically sorted by theme. So that was one of the first things we launched. When everything was going on with hospitals where they were lacking PPE equipment, I saw an article about how the nurses were like, they said something about how they were like, even a fanny pack donated would be great. And it dawned on me, we had like a couple thousand fanny packs in our office. So I just liquidated that entire inventory to all the hospital workers. And I didn't even want a news article around it. It just happened because they started sending photos of all of them wearing them. And then lastly, like I mentioned that we've been doing some like themed t-shirts around what's going on right now. And we wanted to do a give back aspect of that. So, you know, we selected Barks as one of the charities that we donated to, and we were able to donate $10,000 to them. So, you know, I think those things combined would help a business stay relevant. Just getting involved with other fellow business owners. And then Facebook ad strategy is a bottomless pit, I will admit. And so, you know, this is a pretty surface level dialogue, but I think that there's a couple of unique strategies I found online. This one really stood out to me. Tree Hut is a e-commerce business, and they have a couple brick and mortar shops where they sell these customized watches, and they have a pay what you can campaign on social media right now. And it's basically, instead of just advertising a normal discount code, they have multiple discount codes created. And I just basically screenshot, you know, their whole like mindset to doing this. And they said like the choice in what you do is in your hands. And if you can see, their imagery is focusing on like community and I believe the family here is actually the owners and their family. So it's that feel good side of things. They're giving you that choice, and they're kind of explaining what's going on. And then it's up to you if you want to support them or not. And I just thought that was a really interesting Facebook ad to launch. And so I think Facebook ads as a whole is just a way to just you position yourself in a unique way, just to kind of get people curious about you and all of that. So hopefully these are a couple ideas that are interesting for people.
I love it. I think that I love the different payment methods. I love the, scalable shipping solutions. The piece here, the other element of takeaway, and I'd love it if people want to put in the chat the industry that they're in or what type of product they sell. But I see us, I think this is appropriate for those that, used to sell at farmers markets and can't do it the same way, to those that, had a retail store and are selling someone else's goods, or those that have a retail store and are selling their own. So I think that there's so much applicability across industries and product lines, things like that. So yes, as a reminder for those, we do record all of these sessions, and so this entire slide deck, if you need to go back and rewatch it and figure out what that was, we also do up a one-pager that we post on the website with all of those different resources. But I'm not going to waste any more time, and I'm going to let Becca and Sally kind of dive in. So Sally provided this, extensive overview, and so I think that there are some details of it that Becca and Sally will help us to kind of understand to next level in our own way.
Yeah, definitely. So that was great. Thank you, Allie, for everything. That was super, super helpful. We're going to go over a couple things. We're going to go over some branding and some really simple things and tactics that you can use yourself and that you don't need really fancy equipment for.
To jump in here, kind of elaborating on when we first started our business, we didn't have a lot of extra funding. We didn't really set aside a marketing budget. And so a lot of this can be done with just bare minimum funds, or it focuses on free. So you can really take advantage of, your cell phone, like Allie mentioned, or just basic things. And those are just really exciting, because I know we were excited when we figured that out.
So we're going to go into some of that, and then at the end, Rebecca is going to kind of delve a little bit deeper into things like Facebook Marketplace and exactly how or what it looks like to integrate it from your site if you have a website, and then how to get it onto Facebook, which will just help you with another platform. So I'm going to go ahead and start building a cohesive brand. So like what Allie said, you really want to be consistent with your message, with your imagery, with everything. You want people to see you and automatically know that it's you in their Instagram feed or their Facebook feed or wherever they see your ad or your photo. So step one is to up your photo game. So I see a lot of small businesses out there suffer from the same problem, and that's where they just take a photo and it's a candid photo of their item that's just on a table. Which
and we
great.
Suffered from it too. In the very beginning, we suffered from this too. So learn from our mistakes.
I would delete a lot of the other posts just because I was like kind of a Nazi about, what we had on our Instagram. So how do you do that? So I'm not a photographer. Nobody here that works here is a photographer. You don't have to be. So with your cell phone, your iPhone, your Android, whatever, or even just the regular camera, you can take good photos too. So I'm going to go over all of these points here. So taking time to craft each post, buying a light box. You don't have to, but I'll go into sort of what that does. It's kind of like Allie's chair solution, which is really, really creative, by the way. I really like that. And then following accounts that you like or you want to emulate. So that's one of the best ways to be able to get past that creative block, because a lot of us aren't really designers, and a lot of us don't have that kind of creative spark that makes it easy for us to create quality content. And then we're going to go into engaging your target market. So you've probably heard that before. I'm sure Sandy's told you that. I'm sure you've heard it in other marketing jargon. but it's really knowing who you're trying to sell to. Our mother was actually she was in marketing for a long time when we were growing up, so we would always hear target market, target market. So it's kind of pounded into our brains at a young age, but it really rings true. And how do you do that? That's really difficult. But we find the best way to do it is to be a consumer yourself. Go on these social sites, find stuff you like, things that resonate with you, and try to either emulate that or understand like why it resonates with you. And then to Ali's point, you got to give a little, and you can potentially get a lot by giving a little. And then also to track your progress. You can't say that you have progressed at all if you don't have anything to quantify that. And so we're going to show you a few ways to be able to quantify it, and some really helpful tools that will actually just lay it out for you in graphs and charts, so you don't really have to do any of that work yourself. Okay, so taking quality photos, it really is all about the lighting. Don't rely on too many filters. Try to use natural light. So we have a really good window here, but we don't really have a whole lot of spaces in this shop that allow us to take good photos. So to be able to take a good photo, take it outside, or get a couple of lights and put a sheet over it. Be creative. And there's also a lot of tools. If you just Google how to take good photos or how to set up lighting in my kitchen, just be creative.
And we're firm graduates at YouTube University, so like Ali had mentioned, if you can't figure it out, go online. There's a lot of free online videos of people who have pioneered this before you. You're not the only one to not know how to do this. So, as we started adding more things into this, we realized this is the look we want to go for our food. We want it to look inviting and edible. So this is where we ended up navigating towards.
Exactly. And so you notice these photos. These are all photos, by the way, of stuff that we've created, and the photos that we've taken. These are all taken with an Android with a severely cracked screen. So that's been dropped many times. So you really don't need expensive equipment to create good quality content. Clean and simple backgrounds. Some of these have a few things in the background, but the majority of them, the focus is probably like 80% of the photo itself. You can take a photo and you can crop it. I always recommend having more space around your whatever it is. So if I was going to take a photo of this, I'd want it to be, about that big in the screen, and then I can crop it around that. But really making sure that that background is clear of any kind of distractions to really make your merchandise shine. And then you really want to stay consistent. I already said, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it again and again and again. It really helps. You really want to find color schemes, angles, filters, backdrops, whatever works and really highlights your product. Stick with that for a while. It doesn't mean that you can't change it later on, but stick with it for a while, notice some trends, and then maybe change or update and retool and rework from there. We go to the next slide. There we go. And I know we don't have a lot of time as business owners. I struggle with it. Rebecca struggles with it. I'm sure everybody does on every level. You really do have to spend some time, though, to craft each post. You really want to, one, start with a good image. You don't want to use too many filters, right? You want to be concise, but you don't want to be vague. It's really difficult. People, they pull up the screen, they're inundated with content. So you really have to make that punch right from the get-go, kind of like that that photo that Ali shared with the choose your own discount. It was short, sweet, to the point. They could click on it to learn more, but they're not confused by what they're given. Okay? People are really impatient too, so they sit there, they look at it. If they don't like the photo, if they don't like the words, if there's nothing to catch their eye, they're going to scroll right past you and buy from the next person. And then cross-post. Really use the free platform that is social media. Use it to your advantage. We have this really awesome page called Frederick County Takeout, that's got over 2,000 followers within like 2 weeks.
Actually, I think it's like 20,000 now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just really,
Sorry,
it's really
20,000.
grown to be something organic. But, you
Yeah.
know, especially if you're
Use
in the
that.
beginning stages of your business and you don't have a lot of money, you know, join these groups. You know, be your own best champion. And
You
every
gotta be
time
the
someone's
cheerleader.
looking for that, you're like, oh, pick me, pick me. I know I was the person doing that for the longest time. And, you know, putting out these posts, you know, High Bake Shop is doing this, or did you know High Bake Shop's doing this? And at our grand opening, I felt like I was spamming everybody. But to be completely honest with you, we ended up selling out of all of our baked goods on our first day within the first 30 minutes because we utilized these social platforms and we didn't spend a dime. So, you know, these foodie groups, the mommy groups, the city groups, you know, the how-to groups, the crafting groups even, utilize it, find your niche and where you can discuss these things.
And you can also
go ahead.
in there. You can also tailor the post. So you might have the same photo on the screen, but in the comments, you might tailor it a little bit to a mommy group versus a foodie group, you know. If it's cupcakes or something, you might, or we had this cookie decorating kit that we made. You know, you might want to heavily post that on the family-oriented groups rather than the foodie groups, you know. So kind of understand your audience. And the best way to do that is, like I said, to be a part of these groups on your own. And that way you kind of know how to tailor it a little bit so that it resonates a little bit more with people. And we can go to the next one. This is just another plug for good photos. So lighting is everything. So I'm showing you the difference. These were taken by the same phone in different settings, okay? So the cake on the right of your screen is a beautiful cake, and we actually took a way better photo of it. But something like this, I'm sorry, it looks like the editing on the slide didn't quite work out there, but this is not a savable photo with filters. Filters are really meant to enhance your photos, but they don't hide the flaws that are already there. So really be sure to have those good photos. And see over here to the right, or sorry, the left, these are just a couple of our things that we're selling on the internet right now. It's just a plain blue background, you know, because when you're selling and you're having a photo in your online store, people oftentimes think whatever's in that photo, I'm buying for that price. So we've had people think that we're selling like a cake stand with a cake because it's in the photo.
Yeah.
So really, really, really be super clear about what it is that you're selling. And I know Sandy's laughing right now, and we were laughing too. We were just so shocked. But really make it easy and super, super easy and digestible for people, because you have to make sure that you are catering to the lowest common denominator. So a child should be able to use this. A grandma should be able to use this. You don't really want, sorry.
Yeah, a first-time user should be able to use this.
You don't want to alienate a big population of your customers, and it can be avoided by, simple graphics. Okay, so let me move my screen here on the slide itself. Okay, so imitation is the highest form of flattery. So if you have zero clue on what to do, how to post, how to take a photo, what's trendy, just spend like 10 or 15 minutes and looking at industry leaders. If you make cakes, go look at Food Network.
If you craft, go look at, knitting.
Yeah, or just keywords even, and it'll pop up with the, the highest ranking. And just kind of look at them, put them together, see them on one screen, and kind of dissect what the commonalities are. And that really, really helps us. I know that helped me personally when I was starting to take more photos for the Hive and really trying to move like online, because we didn't start as an online platform. We kind of thrust ourselves onto that later. But it's super, super helpful. And it could unlock like a different cool angle or a different shot that might work super well for what you're selling. Yeah. It really depends on what you're selling. And follow those favorites, because in every single industry, things are changing so rapidly, especially right now with COVID-19. You know, things are just not the same as they were December or even as they were in January. And you always want to stay relevant, like to Allie's point before. You always want to make sure that you are maybe not mirroring, but at least showing that you're changing and that you're updating and that you're current with the times, because people really, really resonate with that themselves. Okay. And then who is your target customer? There's a thing called emotional marketing. And so that is super, super helpful, because people oftentimes, and the strongest branding often taps into the consumer's like emotions.
Especially right now,
their
you know,
lifestyle
with
goals.
COVID-19, with everyone wanting to shop local and support their local business, with us being able to sort of switch from a brick and mortar store to be able to have the online store, we've actually been able to, because we've had strong photo content and been able to sync that with our website and not only save ourselves time by integrating. So every time we upload something to our website, we are able to simultaneously post it to Instagram and to sell it simultaneously onto Facebook. So talk about a time saver there.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge. So, I mean, because when we first started, it was like, okay, who wants to go upload to Facebook? Okay, you've got Instagram. Okay, who gets the, you know, the bonus of doing the website? It was really like,
email.
Yeah, it was really time consuming. And again, as business owners, you don't always have the time to do that. It's like, okay, sleep or website. And so in COVID, we've actually found being able to have the strong visual content, and with, you know, this emotional, people wanting to support you not only emotionally, we found that our business has actually grown 30% in the last 2 months. So it's actually been really helpful to make sure that we are maintaining this online presence with this. So yeah, you know, it's not always easy. It's not always fun to, oh, stop, let me take this picture. But if you can get yourself into a really good rhythm and make good, healthy habits for your online store, your online presence, you really can see your business grow exponentially in just a short amount of time if you can capture your audience.
But you want to make sure that you know that audience. And I'll just tell you kind of a little anecdote here. The anecdote, I don't think that came out quite right. Anthropology is a huge clothing brand out there, and they're extremely successful. And I read probably like 5 years back about why they're so successful. And they have actually named their target customer. So they gave their target customer a name because they know that person so well. They call her Alice. And so every time they develop a new product, put anything out there in the, you know, social media sphere, anything, they always have a consult that goes, what would Alice do? Or what does Alice like? Would Alice like this? And so it's super, super key to know exactly who you want to sell to be able to sell to them, to be able to hit those marks, to be able to, you know, if they like local, with our customers, they love local. So we are always using local produce. We're using local cheeses. We're doing tag teams with different, okay, gotcha. Well, we're doing tag teams with different businesses, and we're always trying to stay relevant, especially now. We even added a donate button so that we're still, so we have this program where you can donate $25 or kind of whatever you want to donate, and it's with a click of a button in our online store. And not only does that drive our sales because we're the ones producing the bread, but it also helps the community because we donate that bread free of charge to the local food bank. And so using, you know, creative solutions like this to really hone in on who you're selling to really helps. And, you know, in our first week when we reopened after the first 2-week COVID period, I think we got $700 or something like that in just donations that we made bread and then gave to the food bank. And so it can not only help you stay in good standing with your customers, but it also will help you drive, you know, revenue.
Yeah, I think we have a few more minutes.
Okay,
but,
that's okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll be really quick, I promise. So to touch on Allie's point too, the power of almost free. You do have to give a little to get a little. do use Facebook to occasionally boost your post, and it can be as cheap as $5, and it can help. It can boost it a little bit. You don't need a ton at first, but you don't want to rely on it, because people that are relying on it, they're probably not getting a whole lot of return on their investment.
You can also design your ads to target different people. Like, we have our own, like, the foodies that we want this particular ad to go to, or we want this to go to the 18 to 25s if it's something super trendy. So we definitely design ours to go out accordingly.
And do host product giveaways. That is one of the best ways to grow your reach organically. And you know what? If you're worried about oh no, I don't know if I can give away something. Like Allie was saying, where she liquidated some things that maybe weren't selling. I don't know if those fanny packs were selling or weren't, but if you have a product that's not selling as well and you want to get rid of that, it's a great idea to just give that away instead. And so you're not really losing a whole lot because you're not making a ton of money on it. But you're also giving back, and you're also creating a bigger reach with more likes, shares, comments, and more interactions. And then also, though, a huge point to that, don't train your customers to hold out for the freebies. So just make sure that you're doing those sparingly, especially for small businesses where, $20 matters, $50 matters. It's really difficult because we found that in our first year, we would have extra things and we tried to give them away, but then people were holding out for the bakery freebies at the end of the day instead of actually paying. So don't put yourself in that hole. And then this is just a good quote that I like to live by. Design is the silent ambassador of your brand. It really is. Take some time to make good content. It really, really helps. Some free resources for design. So I was also going to include Fiverr, but I'm glad that you did, Allie, previously. But Canva. So Canva, we use this for almost all of our things, from emails to headers, letterhead, logo design, Facebook post design, Instagram, just everything you can imagine. We use Canva for. I even used it to make this PowerPoint, actually. And so it has tons of already made templates, or you can drag and drop and design if you feel like you want to exercise those creative bones in your body. But a lot of us don't have those, and that's okay too, because you can just kind of plug and chug all of your info into it and put your pictures into it as well. It's super easy. They have a free option, but you can also pay for stock images, or you can pay on like an a la carte basis, or you can just get like the premium too. And then, like I said before, you don't need fancy stuff. Cell phone and Instagram. Instagram is a great photo editor. If you just need to like bump up some brightness or contrast or whatever it is that you feel that you might need, just be sparing with it. And then track your growth. This is huge. You really want to make sure that you can quantify your growth, because that's what helps you. It helps you not only go to the bank and say like, hey, we've grown, I need a loan for this or that or whatever. It gives you like quantifiable data for that. But it also just lets you kind of track what's doing well, what's working, what's not working, what are our best products, what are our not best products, what should we focus on. It really helps us to like nail down what to focus on. Facebook has a little tab on your Facebook page that's all about the insights, and it'll tell you the percentage by which you either dropped or increased on post engagements, likes, comments, shares,
Tracks to your website, however you designed the ad to go. And it's good, especially when we roll out a new product, we can actually see how much money did I spend on this, how much revenue did I actually gain on new orders, when we were open for foot traffic, how much foot traffic did I actually get for that. So it's good.
Totally. And then Google Analytics. Google Analytics you can actually put into your website. You can integrate that in there as well. And it tracks a ton of trends, and it shows it to you graphically or just the data as well. And so that shows you your websites, the actions that your visitors are taking. Maybe they're going to your website and not going past the home screen. Maybe nobody's even going to your shop. You don't really know until you track it. And so this helps you, because if you have an issue with your site, or maybe your site's just not very intuitive for people, I mean, you'd be surprised at how intuitive it has to be for a lot of consumers. They need like a point and click, and they need like a buy now button, because everybody, let's be honest, is very used to Amazon, and Amazon has a buy now button that you can just do on your phone. And so when you have to go through things, it's difficult.
Oh my gosh. I literally think that we could sit here and talk for like 4 more hours on all of these details.
I'm trying to like run through it.
I'm trying to be respectful of this 1 hour time.
Okay, no worries.
And, here we have, Allie with Route 1 Apparel. And that I'm guessing is this the first hour, the longest hour you've actually like sat this week?
Yes.
Yeah,
I know it is.
I had to leave my office to do it here because there's just it's chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I believe it. I believe it.
I know.
I wish I did.
Do we sit for this? What is sitting?
Yeah, and Rebecca and Sally, the Hive Bakery. Oh my gosh, if you haven't checked it out, please check out Route 1 Apparel, the Hive Bakery in Brunswick, Maryland. Absolutely amazing businesses. And a couple of the takeaways that I had that I just want to repeat is that, none of you started this saying, oh my God, I'm dying to sell online.
No.
You all had a different distribution sales method at the beginning. It has probably, would it be accurate to say it has helped or excelled or literally helped your business to thrive during this COVID period of time?
Absolutely.
Totally.
And that, truly we've had people have commented, they're selling journals, they're selling, sewing detail, a sewing shop is mentioning things. Again, we didn't have time to get into that, to the WooCommerce, but we will put that in the notes, in terms of a resource to get from WooCommerce to Facebook shop, and, how, Becca and Sally, you guys are now posting it in one location and then it's going and distributing it out from there. So really streamlining your efforts. Somebody did have a question regarding, a young network for people to hire on a contractual basis. And maybe that's a Fiverr type of thing, going on to some of those online resources. I don't know if anybody had any other thoughts on that. Real quick.
There's a website called Handshake that you can apply and have access to any universities in the area. You have to be screened, but it's a pretty good process, pretty easy process. The main recommendation or request that they have is that you have like a portal online where you have all your listed requirements for the internship program, but you have to apply per school. So we're on there for Stevenson and Towson and University of Maryland, and that's given us a lot of young talent for internships. And then also using Facebook ads, you can target by age. We've actually done some targeted ads around internship programs or people who have associations with certain kinds of schools. So, that's just another like backup that we do. We run targeted ads to students and get interns that way. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Handshake. That's a great one. Thank you for mentioning that one again. Just a couple of little other things. US Tech, our tech provider, they have a text messaging platform. So Allie mentioned text messaging, email marketing, but also text marketing. So you guys can contact US Tech for that. Remember, again, the Chamber of Commerce, for those of you that are watching, Chamber of Commerce has free chamber membership for Charles County businesses through the end of August. So make sure that you check out the Charles County Chamber's website for that. There will be a recording of this posted onto the Meet Charles County website, which I'll flash up here on the screen. But first, next week, we're going to be talking about Cash Flow Management 101. Oh my God.
That's scary.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not going to say that one.
I know. Start fast.
I think I have confessed every week that like I really need these things.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I got in college is cash.
I know. No, man.
Yes. Yes. So that's
Very
next
well.
week. Again, free to sign up. And you can sign up on the Charles County Economic Development Department's website, meetcharlescounty.com. That's where the recording will be. But as always, huge partner with the Charles County Chamber of Commerce and their free membership. Like I said, the notes and things will be, and the replay will be on the website. Rebecca, Sally, Allie, and Jay behind the curtain there. Thank you all. I cannot thank you enough. This was just as like rapid fire and as intense, and oh my God, I think I need a cocktail or something.
Yeah.
Now. So this was
We'll
great.
second that.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Thank
and
you.
I hope to see you all soon.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Take
Thank
care,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.